What am I doing? Alright, microphone on, good. So I've been a little busy with programming things. I need to look at the camera, not myself. So I didn't have time to completely script the video that I wanted to do. So instead what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a live, we got some hot live footage of me taking a nice ice bath. And yeah, I'll talk about some stuff. I already got some topics mapped out. We're just gonna riff for a little bit, you know? We're just gonna riff and we're gonna see where it takes us. Let me put this in here. This is not easy with only two hands, only one person. You know, really though, doesn't all people just have two hands? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So the last time I tried to do this, I did this with gas station ice, which was okay, but the only issue was that there was not enough of it, and my body temperature melted the ice so fast, and I want a nice, consistent ice bath. So, I'm gonna get my, Instagram Live going, too, because I really want everybody to see this. Because I'm sure that's saying something about me as a person. Fuck it! Fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling. Alright, here we go. I'll be back shortly. I'll see you guys soon. On. Good. That's on. And again, let's check the microphone. I don't wanna freeze myself to death in vain. You know what I'm saying? Alright, you gotta hype yourself up. You gotta hype yourself up because it's no fucking joke. The shower was on. That'd be a mess. So if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the people on the phone, and if I'm looking up here, I'm looking at the people on the camera, and if I'm looking here, I'm looking at myself. You know, it's interesting. Maybe there's some metaphysical implication of never completely being able to look at all directions at the same time. You know, no, I don't want to lose the heat. This water's too goddamn hot. This is horse shit. Why is this water hot? This is ruining everything. I don't want this to be a failed attempt. Just breathe it in, kid. For everybody joining, I'm in the middle of a nice cold ice bath. But the water's hotter than I want it to be, so it's gonna fuck this shit up. God damn it. It's okay, you know, at least the failure is funny. You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna touch on some topics. I got some tea here to balance out my heat. I can't talk to anybody because my hands are full and I'm fucking freezing. Woo, hot shit. Oh. The water's not getting any colder. I feel like this might be a failure, but I think it might be hilarious anyway, so fuck it. You know, maybe that's gonna be our first lesson. Fuck these notes. I'm gonna need these notes for later though. So yeah, you know, I touched on one of the music analysis videos of your failures being, you know, your failures are what's giving you that shape. You know, you need that negative space in your life to give yourself shape. And so you need to recontextualize the negativity in life. Amazing grace. So, yeah, moral of the story, the first time I tried to do this this ice bath, I did it with gas station ice, and then it melted too quickly because my body heated it up. The water was cold, but my body heated it up. And now the water's too hot and it's melting the ice too fast. But it's still cold, so at least I'm getting something. Yeah, where's my notes? Where's those notes I was going to talk about? I need something to dry my hands off. Whatever, I'm just going to have a soggy notebook. Soggy notebook. What a story of my life. All right, what do we got here? There's always going to be an excuse. There's always going to be an excuse to not do the thing you're wanting to do. And you really need to try to identify the part of your brain that's procrastinating, because that part of you does not have your best self-interest in mind. It's not aware of the part of you, of your consciousness. It's almost like your consciousness is the parent that is experiencing everything that the rest of you is feeling. And it's almost like I came to this conclusion a while ago. We are like the parent and the child in the same body. And everything that parent feels is resonating up through to the consciousness. So the consciousness feels it, and you know consciously what's happening. But the child does not know what's happening. But the child is still feeling those emotions too. So the child that wants to keep directing you other places doesn't know what your conscious mind knows. And so it's up to your conscious mind to keep fending off and recontextualizing, again, that negativity and that child. And this water is getting hot now. It's just me in a goddamn bathtub. Which I guess to anybody joining the live chat is just gonna have no idea what I'm doing. I'm drinking some more goddamn tea. I got a fucking Fozzie Bear mug. You're welcome. I can't drink this. I can drink it. Of course I can drink it. There's ice. Ice everywhere. This is fun. This is good. There's always going to be an excuse. Alright, I'm going to turn this hot water off so it actually... No, wrong way. Wrong way. There we go. We got to keep it cold. Yeah, there's always going to be an excuse. And we don't know what we don't know, and that part of us, the part of us that wants it to stay the same, is not aware of what our consciousness knows. We know we can break out because our consciousness is coming from the place that knows it all. But we're looking out through this little pinhole, this just very little pinhole, and so we can only see a little bit of it at a time. And I love the idea of a collective unconscious, almost like all of our consciousness is being relayed back into Earth. And then Earth's consciousness is seeing simultaneously what all of that is seeing. So Earth is always aware of what's happening, even though the egos on Earth might be ignorant to it. So Earth can do whatever it has to protect itself. It's almost like Earth existed as a project. It's almost like the sun was existing around the Earth to give the Earth food to sustain life on itself. It's almost like, Earth wanted the project. So it's like, all right, here, have your children. Here's all the resources you need. Here's your children. But keep your goddamn children in line and exist through your children. And so eventually, your kids get out of control, and then your kids start to have a mind of their own and think everything starts spiraling out of control. Which I think is a metaphor. Move the cold around. Move the cold around. Which again, I think is a metaphor for whatever forces or conscious entities started life to begin with. It's almost like, all right, this is a bad idea. We're going to start life. This might get immediately out of hand. It's almost like you program this infinite loop into a computer, and as soon as you run that program, everything is fucked. It immediately goes completely out of control, and that is what the infinite recursive feedback is. And wherever the start of that is also the event horizon where where life started. That was the beginning.
but only from our perspective as a finite being, because that moment is existing infinitely in time all the time. And we are going back to that. We are riding that feedback loop. And it's, oh God, it's perfect. It's perfect. Whew. I feel like I came back here specifically to help people. I feel like whatever it was told me, you're good. You don't have to go back to Earth. You're done. You don't have to do it. And I'm like, just give me one more time around. Coming back to the and to the metaphysical analysis I was doing of the day I tried to live. The day I tried to live. One more time around. One more time around. And it's almost like when I started trying to live in the first place, I fell victim again to the ego that everybody else was. And that metaphor is also contained in the beginning of my life. When I started fucking up in the beginning of my life and I fell into my ego and I started losing my direction. But then, as I continued through my life, started to fucking finally click, and that, because reality is infinitely recursive, that same model is existing relative to wherever we are at the point in time. And so I know I have this can't be the first time that I've been alive. It doesn't. I can remember when I was young explicitly thinking about not existing, almost like looking at Earth. And I almost could step away for just a second. And obviously I was in school. I was in class when I was doing this because, whoo, believe it or not, whoo, it's cold in the back of the skull. School could not hold my attention. Woo! So what I think is happening is as we are going to enter whatever the next version of life is, whatever timelines we're going to be breaking off from, the people that are ready, that are going to be, I feel, are going to be able to be scooped up by that. It's like the holes are a specific size. We use this as a metaphor. It's almost like the holes that are sweeping it up is a specific size, and it's going to grab everybody that is of that vibration or energy. And I think as life is doing, this is nothing personal. There's nothing personal behind life. Placing you wherever you are most fit. And when you die, whatever vibration you died as is going to be where you wind up as in the next life, so you are best fit for that. And again, there's nothing personal behind any of this. It's just how it falls together. It's like physics. I've been thinking a lot too about force, about like working out of force or working out of power. And it's like whenever you try to force something, you're getting resistance. You're getting a pushback from it. That's why when you look at anybody that tries to control anybody else through force, that energy, that force gets put into them and then comes back around, because this is the feedback loop. And it's almost like the only way to beat it is to not engage in it at all. And it's almost like even procreation and our hard wiring as a body does not have our best interest in mind. It only wants to keep going. So we almost need to fight against ourselves. But that fighting, you can't fight yourself with resistance. You almost need to get out of your own way and just let your consciousness go through. Because when you fight that inner child, coming back to that parent-child relationship, when you push back against that inner child, it gets repressed, and then it comes back into the consciousness in an unconscious way, in toxic ways. And you see that in the parenting of how people parent their kids. And if they parent out of force, they think it's working just because the behavior stops, instead of just repressing whatever it is. For the new people joining, I'm in an ice bath. Just to put some context to this. I'm not just sitting in a goddamn bathtub talking to myself. But you're welcome regardless. Hot shit. What else? Maybe I should, let's see. Let me go back to my topic book. Another thing too is I'm gonna, obviously for the people on the YouTube video, which is also where this is going, the ice melted very quickly, so it's not nearly as cold as I would like it to be, but, because, my body's hot. I'm just a hot guy. I don't know what to tell you. Stranded in New Mexico. I'll get to that some other time. Making points when something, that's another thing. When something leads you somewhere, the thing that you start to get into the rhythm with to begin with is never where it leads you. The reasons I wanted to make a change in my life were not so I can figure out what I was. My ego just wanted to get somewhere. It wanted something for itself. And in the process of trying to find something for my ego, I wound up realizing I had to lose that ego. And then that comes back to the amazing metaphor of forms leading back to formlessness, of everything eventually being its own downfall. In the same way that life will inevitably have to end in death, whatever form it is will have to be dropped before we step through. And then I think about religion, and I think about people that get hung up on their religion. It's almost like their religion takes them to this enlightened... The religion takes them to this enlightened state, but then the religion becomes the thing that gets them hung up. And then you can't drop it. They can't... And then they identify with it so much that they can't step through. They can't step through. I'm getting distracted. It's actually probably a good thing that this bath is not as cold as I wanted, because I didn't know how I'd be able to keep my composure and my thought process throughout this, which I guess then becomes great content for everybody and myself. I think I thought a little while ago, when I eventually die and I get to see the highlight reel that all of the entities that are guiding me to the end compile for me to watch of their favorite moments of myself, this will inevitably have to be one of them. Which is probably what laughing at yourself is. You gotta have a good sense of humor about yourself, because if I didn't, I don't think I'd be able to do this. And which, again, when people get too hung up on their egos and they don't have a sense of humor about themselves, and I've realized in my own life, when I'm laughing at people and they almost get angry, and it's like, listen, it's nothing personal. It's like, don't you have any sense of humor about yourself? Aren't you conscious enough to be able to look at yourself objectively to realize how ridiculous life is? And how ridiculous these fucking bodies are, too. Oh my God. I don't really want to land this plane right now, but I guess I should just wait until I I don't fucking know, whatever. I'm just gonna drink some more of my tea here. That's good stuff. I got green tea, I have Earl Grey and Sleepy Time, so both the Earl Grey and the Sleepy Time are fighting each other in my system. Which again is a beautiful metaphor for life and how we are infinitely fighting against ourselves. Love it. I got bubble bath too. I wanted to take an icy bubble bath, but it's not really icy then, so I'm just putting bubble bath into lukewarm water, which really just makes me look like a crazy person. Oh shit, I love this. This is great. What a ride. Fuck it. How long has this been going? 17 minutes? I'm probably going to keep all this. I might just end this here. Because this is not really what I wanted it to be, because this water was too goddamn hot to begin with. So fuck it. Fuck it. I'm happy with this. I'm getting up out of the bath. You're welcome. I'll stop all this shit momentarily. Let me get a towel first. You know what's amazing too? I'll say this one more time before I bounce. I've gotten to the point now, whenever I'm talking, I'm going to get back in the bathtub, which is a little counterproductive. But I got to this point now where when I'm talking to people, even when I'm talking to a camera, even if I know eventually somebody is going to be watching it or somebody is already on the other side of it, it feels like I am talking to myself still. Because ultimately I've come to the point where almost all separation in my life has dissolved to the point where it's just all one thing. I just can't deny it anymore. I cannot deny it anymore that life is beautiful and I love everything. So thank you guys. I will see you. I'm gonna do a quick wave. There we go. And I'll see you soon. Goodbye.